I just recently got back from a trip to Canada fishing with my son and my father and father-in-law. And while the fish really weren't biting, I really still had a good time. It was a nice, relaxing time away from the normal hustle and bustle. But I had my 12-year-old son with me and the fish really weren't biting. And if you want to see patience pushed to the limit, a 12-year-old that doesn't have anything on the end of his line for 2 or 3 days at a time really defines what patience is. At the same time, here we stand in cornfield and start to draw some comparisons from fishing back to irrigation. We've had some areas that are extremely dry. We've had some areas that have caught some spotty rains and some areas that have caught good rains. And as we've tried to figure out the best way to manage irrigation this year, we find it to be a real test of patience and a lesson in perseverance. Hi, I'm Keith Byerly, Precision Ag Manager at Central Valley Ag, and this is your Precision Focus that corresponds with my article on the CVA blog site. So like I said, we've had a mixed bag of everything this year. Up in the North Country where I live, I haven't heard the irrigation wells around my house shut off in 45 plus days. We've had no measurable precip since the beginning of June and no relief in the immediate sight. And those guys haven't had a lot of opportunity to really manage their water and manage their irrigation for the season. But I think for most of us, that's more the exception than the norm this year. Most of us have caught a good rain somewhere along the way, or at least a few little rains that have prolonged our exposure and kept this corn crop growing and looking reasonably good. But as we look at these charts and we start to look at the graphs, we see some big differences. I've got a chart right here from grower number one. Grower number one's corn is tasseling. And what we see here from grower number one's corn is that he's got 3 foot of roots developed underneath this corn. We've got several events from rain and irrigation on this chart, and all in all, what it's shown us is that he's done a really good job of managing his water for the year. Now I've got grower two's chart. Grower number two was planted a little bit later, and he's still probably about a week away from tassel. But when I look at this crop, I see some big differences. This grower's only got 12 to 16 inches of active roots underneath of his crop. It's not gonna grow a whole lot more. As we hit the reproductive phase of this crop, we really hit the end of that vegetative growth and root development. What we see now is what we're gonna be dealing with for the rest of the season. So grower number two has less roots, but as I look at the charts, I see a lot of similarities. He's had similar rainfall and irrigation events across his crop. He's had similar refills of that root profile, and at the end of the day, things look very similar. Both of them have not had a single event where they've pushed water past 12 inches infiltration-wise, but at the end of the day, there's almost double the roots under grower number one's farm as there is grower number two's farm. Now, I could stand here and hypothesize why that is. There's a difference between the two growers, strip till versus no-till, and I think that we saw some root development issues and nutrient needs met this cool, wet spring in May that maybe lead to part of this difference. One of the things I'm confident that it's not, though, is the difference in downforce. Grower number two's maps for his downforce really showed us that he had excellent planter to ground contact with that unit out there, and we seldom saw more than 100 pounds of downforce being applied. Scouting for him indicated that we didn't see issues with hatchet roots. What his root development is right now is a condition of nutrients, moisture, temperature, and all of those things coming together, not because of mechanical inhibitions to his rooting development. And so therein lies my take home for this week. I don't want you to necessarily get tied in the hows and whys our roots are developed the way they are right now. That's something that we can talk about at our RD events this summer when we have root pits and better opportunities to look at what's underneath this crop. Right now, it's about management. We've got this factory behind me going into full production mode now. We need to feed it with the best of our abilities, whether that's 3 foot of roots or 2 foot or 1.5 foot of roots. We've got to play the hand we're dealt right now. Working with your FSA and your ACS professional on your Aqua Systems platform, understanding what those probes are saying and what they're measuring is instrumental, because now we've got a way to measure what we've got. We've got to make sure we close out this year and manage it appropriately.